Good evening, and thanks for joining us tonight. We have the great pleasure of being here with Don Dornell from Calaveras Search and Rescue. And first off, I want to say thank you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for what the group does. And it is, in our mountainous communities and everything else, they are indispensable, and they literally save lives many times a year. And just thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having me tonight, John.
Give us a little bit of background on the organization.
Okay, the organization initially was formed by some volunteers from the Ebbets Pass Fire Department in 1981. Over the course of time, it became obvious that a missing person is really a law event. So Search and Rescue then was formed under the umbrella of Calaveras County Sheriff's Office.
Got it.
So we currently are volunteers through the Sheriff's Office. It's still a law event, so the Sheriff's Department manages the incident, but we as the volunteers help run it, and we're the ones that go out in the field and beat the bushes and see what we can do to help people.
Yeah. How about you? How big is the group right now?
Currently, we have 35
Okay.
full-time active members.
Got it.
We're all volunteers, but there's 35 of us.
Now, in between incidents, you do, what is it, once a month training, or once is that? How many times I know you guys group up for training and stuff too.
We have a business meeting once a month.
Okay.
It's the second Tuesday of the month at our cache in Arnold. It's about a 2-hour meeting. There's a small, about a 45-minute to an hour training component in that period of time. And then, generally speaking, the following Saturday, we have a full day's training. Depends on the time of the year, what needs to be done. But we cover everything from medical to swiftwater training, to rope rescue, to scenarios.
Got it. Very cool. Now, one of the things we talked about a little bit earlier is the change in, because I think this is aimed a little bit, is that now we've had a really high influx of not only visitors, but new residents up here and everything else are going to be out exploring and stuff. Is, from your side of it, for people who are going to be out exploring, out in the woods and everything else, what type of behavior, I mean, is to make themselves not only make it so they don't get lost, but also to make themselves easy to find later? What's some of the tips you have for some of that stuff?
Several things. First of all, we recommend people don't go alone.
Got it.
In case you do get injured, there's somebody that either can help you, administer some first aid, or else go for help. Everybody should be somewhat prepared. If you're going down for a day hike or a day of fishing, you still should have something that you can survive the night if you're trapped out there.
Got it.
If you are lost, or you find that yourself lost, that's the time to stay in place. Know how to use your devices. A lot of people have a GPS and don't truly know how to use it the way they should, where they can actually set a track from where their car is. It'll lay a track all the way to wherever they've gone down to the river or on this trail. And if they get lost, they can just say track back, and they can follow with their device's map back to their location.
Got it.
Also, they should know how to use their cell phones, and not just how to dial, but there's ways on your cell phone to find your location at any point in time, and that's important to know. So
in an area to where you can get cell service and stuff, if somebody's lost out there and they know where they are and their coordinates out there, that's one of the most important things, right? Is that
that's gold to us.
Okay.
Because it cuts down the amount of time we have to spend trying to find them. We have a general location. It's not foolproof. It's not going to say I'm in this exact spot sitting at this table, but it's going to put me in this building as far as location goes.
Right.
And then the other thing is, once you've conveyed that information, stay put. Don't move. There's no need for you to travel any further. Help's on its way.
Now, this is what I don't want to beat a dead horse as far as, the stay put type of thing, because sometimes, some people, I know the instinct is we all want to save ourselves, and so, prove to ourselves that we're not helpless type of stuff. But we've seen over the years, in following some of these cases, is that sometimes can be even some tragic outcomes if people keep making their own situation worse. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about some of, I know there's the thermal imaging, if somebody's doing, if you can get an overflight by a helicopter or something like that, what are some of the things that can, they can make themselves more visible, so to speak? I mean, is it?
Well, nowadays, there is technology that's helped us.
Okay.
There's been some important changes that have helped us. We have access to primarily CHP that helps us first out. They have thermal imaging or infrared sight or cameras to use.
404 doesn't out of Sonora?
That's a different breed.
Okay.
They do, but primarily their first mission, especially this time of the year, is fire suppression.
Yeah.
They would actually have to unload their crew.
Oh, because they have the bucket
and the bucket and everything.
So they're already
puts them out of service. So CHP generally has a helicopter up, and we can access them.
Okay.
We had a recent incident where they actually located a campfire down by the river, which told us the individual we were looking for at the time was in the general vicinity. They didn't pick him up, but then he conveyed to us once we got to him that he had heard the helicopter.
Okay.
Technology saved this individual. He did, even though he got lost, he did the right things. Before he had gone out, his daughter had shown him how to read his location, the longitude, latitude on his cell phone. Once he recognized that he was lost, he accessed that information in his cell phone, wrote it on his jeans. His battery was almost low, but then he called and got through. He had even in the mountains, you can get a cell site once in a while, or cell coverage. He was able to get in touch with our Calaveras County dispatch, gave his coordinates. They confirmed him, they told him to stay put, and just after that, his phone went dead. Now those coordinates allowed us to drive, it was probably 14 miles off of Highway 4 to where this individual, to where we found his vehicle. And then there was a bit of travel distance in an all-terrain vehicle.
Which is technically even in Tuolumne County, right? Isn't that the way these county lines are?
You're exactly right. One of the nuances is that was that was Tuolumne County. But we got there much quicker than Tuolumne would, because they would have to go all the way down to, say, Parrots Ferry or something like that.
Yeah.
So in a case like this, it would almost be considered automatic aid. Calaveras County Sheriff's Office said, hey, we've got this information, searches on your side of the river, we're sending our people out, and see what we can do. If this goes into another day, we're going to turn it over to you because it is their event. But getting back to my story, this individual did stay put. Our people drove as far as they could on a four-wheel drive road, and then got off and hiked into where the coordinates of this individual had been communicated to us. And within 10 minutes of leaving their vehicle, our people had made voice contact with this.
Very nice.
It was
very nice.
But he hadn't moved. And that was two things. He knew how to use his device, and he didn't move once he was told, or once he conveyed to us that he was in a general area.
And one of the things is as far as the topography up here is, I think it's worth bringing up is, the old stuff as we talked about before cameras rolling is they tell you to go downhill to the river and that type of stuff. But in our area, if you follow some of that conventional wisdom, you're going farther away from the highway, and you're getting. Well, explain some of the, it's in the house. Well,
the story that I had conveyed to you that kind of drives that point home.
Yeah.
Is we had an individual who was lost right on Highway 4 at a campground called Big Meadow. He had gone back to his tent. He had separated from his group, gone back to his tent, get something to eat, and then he went to find them again. Now he was pretty much within eyesight of Highway 4. He was lost. Remembered, if you're lost, go downhill. City boy that he was, he went downhill, which got him all the way down to the Stanislaus River. And then from there, he went downriver. So he went from basically Highway 4 down to the river, and he ended up coming out in a campground the next day in Board's Crossing. So had he stayed put, stay in the general area, we would have found him. We flooded that area with searchers that day. We would have found him.
Yeah.
But once again, downhill is not necessarily the right thing to do.
And at night, it wasn't much of a scenic hike, was it?
Not
you missed all the scenery because it's pretty, but...
No, that was not the thing to do. He missed a lot of the pretty scenery, but he was lucky.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, he was lucky.
Yeah.
If he slipped and fallen into the river and gotten, swept down into some kind of a strainer or into some rock or something,
he's done.
He might never have been found.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It was a good outcome, but it would have been a lot easier on everybody if you just stayed put.
To back up a little, now you're open it's an open volunteer organization. you said you had people from all walks of life. I mean, it's probably kind of a little bit of a social thing for you people involved too. I mean, it's your team. I mean, what's the makeup of some of the group you have now?
Our oldest member is 79 years old.
Wow.
We have one who, I think he's 20. So we go from 20 to 79. We have college students to retirees, all different professions. We have a physicist on our team. We have painting contractors. Somebody had a printing business. Myself, my background was the fire service. I put in 37 years in the fire service. There's 4 or 5 of us in the fire service on the team. People just want to get involved. That's the biggest thing, is that people just want to help out somehow. People that enjoy being outside, enjoying being part of a group.
Right.
We are a team.
Yeah.
Nobody's expected to know everything or do everything. We provide the training. All we want is people with a desire to be part of a team and help out.
So they don't have to have a certain skill set to come in.
No.
Got it.
Just have their heart in the right place.
I think we're running down to the last little minute. That went pretty quick.
Wow.
Thank you. Thanks for what you do. Now the last little bit, as far as somebody wants to donate, if somebody wants to join up, I mean, how do they contact you guys?
Well, we are an all-volunteer organization. We're a nonprofit, even though we operate under the sheriff's office. All donations that we get, we rely heavily on donations. Everything goes towards either training or equipment.
Yeah.
So basically, you help us find people.
Yeah.
If you're interested, we welcome people to join our team. There are some basic requirements. Nothing is hard to meet. Within about 2 to 3 months, I'd say within 3 months, if you put your heart and a little bit of effort into it, you could actually be on our team and be on in-county searches.
Nice.
We team you up with experienced people. We don't put anybody out where they're not going to do well.
Sure.
But it's just a commitment. Some training is involved. The commitment is attend our meetings. We look for 75% participation. So it's a meeting a month and training a month. So if you can hit 75% of those, you have an opportunity to help others. Our mission statement is to aid the lost, injured, and imperiled. So if you want to help do that, follow whatever the lead is as far as contacting us.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Oh, I guess we're not done yet.
How do we rewind?
I don't know. Well, I had some more questions because I saw the 1 minute button. Sorry, we've got some little buttons here, and I guess anyway. One of the questions I had is that I wanted to get to as far as mutual aid stuff. Now we're Calaveras County here, but you guys work incidents that. As far as Tuolumne County, Alpine, Amador, how as far as mutual aid stuff, do you guys go?
Well, recognizing the fact that we're all small.
Right.
If any of the counties surrounding us goes into a second-day search,
sure,
or a multi-day search,
that's when the cavalry starts coming in.
That's when you're going to need the help because your people are getting beat up, being out there, beating the bushes.
Yeah.
For 6, 8, 10 hours at a time. Statewide, there's a mutual aid agreement. Like right now, we're seeing across the state, fire service is responding to help wherever they're requested.
Right.
It's called mutual aid. So the sheriff's office here is part of the search and rescue mutual aid. We will go help Alpine, Amador, Tuolumne. We just recently sent people to Butte County.
Right.
To help with looking for unaccounted for individuals.
Yes.
It's not something people think about when you sign up for it, but it's something that's very important. Several years ago, whatever it was, 2 or 3 years ago, we sent a number of people for a number of days to Paradise for the same thing. It helps bring closure.
Yes.
But then again, when the big fire down near Shaver Lake was going, at the same time that was happening, Madera County had a missing individual.
Right.
And we sent people down there one day for mutual aid to help in a search there. So we you can go outside the area.
A nuts and bolts question on that. As I know, as far as if you're a mutual aid and response, as far as budgetary, does that come out of the sheriff's bucket then? As far as funding for mutual aid, I mean, how do those get funded? Just on the, if you're mutual aid outside.
Well, here's how it goes. We're volunteers, so there is no salary involved.
Right, but I mean, as far as food and travel and.
What we do is we provide transportation.
Okay.
Take one of our
Yeah.
Vehicles.
Yeah.
So the sheriff office, in essence, pays for fuel for you to get there. Once you're at the incident, all fuel, food, and necessities are provided by that jurisdiction.
The host.
The host
Okay.
agency.
Got it.
One thing that's important is to recognize that as volunteers, you are required to sign what's called a disaster service worker. I guess it's an agreement or an oath. You take an oath.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're disaster service workers. So when we are mobilized or dispatched on a mission, we fall under the state's workers' comp. So should something happen, when you're out
Broken
there,
legs, twisted ankles, that
all
gets
of that
covered.
stuff,
Okay.
you're covered by workers' comp.
Got it.
So.
Which is nice, right? I mean, it's a nice peace of mind for people to know that.
It is, they're
yeah.
covered.
Yeah.
And even here in the county, if we're out on a search or if you're at training and something happens, you're covered. As long as it's an official function, you're covered, which gives a lot of people peace of mind in that respect.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah. So that way they don't have a potentially catastrophic financial outlay for volunteering.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 So it's a way to get some protection for our people.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we're in county, we will provide meals if it goes an extended period. We have 2 volunteers on our team who, I call them our food service unit, and they'll do that. We've had searches, we get there at 6 in the morning to get ready to go out in the field, and they're already there with coffee and breakfast burritos for everybody.
Very nice.
Yeah,
Very nice.
take a sack lunch with you, go out in the field. So,
Yeah.
we try to as best we can, you know.
Yeah.
Now what happens there is any expenditures for food, the team is reimbursed by the sheriff's office if it's in county.
Got it. Yeah. I know there's not a huge difference on it, but a little bit of stuff you see on, summer and winter searches as far as, I know you said they need to be prepared to be out there at night. On the summer, hypothermia stuff and issues are not as critical, but in the winter, your window, what are some of the practical things that people can do out there if they're like, as far as keep thermal, core temps up and that type of stuff? What's some of the
things people need to do is, first of all, be equipped for it.
Okay.
It could be a beautiful spring day, but things change in the mountains, as we all know.
Yeah.
So in your pack, you should have extra clothing, an extra base layer, and some of those things. You should have some way of providing a shelter for yourself. You need to have some kind of a fire starter, emergency bivvy or something like that, something to keep your body core temperature
Mm-hmm.
up. One of the things that we teach our people in survival is have like a little piece of, if you're going to spend the night out there, have a little something to eat just before you're going to go to sleep, because that helps keep your core temperature up while your body's digesting it.
Right. Right. So it's got something to do to keep it,
Right.
keep you, okay.
Yeah, take your water bottle inside your sleeping bag with you. These are things that people should know before they go out. Winter survival is very important.
Yeah.
How to build a shelter, and how to build a snow cave. That's part of our training. We teach our people, we take them out overnight, and we show them how to build a snow cave and actually stay in it out overnight.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I was reading something too, that if, let's say you have one extra dry set of clothes, I thought it was interesting, it was fascinating, it was a little bit counterintuitive, is that you had the wet clothes that you put on during the day, but you never got the dry ones wet. So you always had something to sleep in or something like that to be able to
Keep that temperature
to
up.
keep that temp, which I thought was fascinating. It's like, you always think, okay, these are all wet, I'll put on my dry ones. It's no. You put those on, that's just to keep you
That's going to
dry
help you
at
survive
night.
overnight.
right. Yeah.
Everybody should know how to have a couple of ways of starting a fire.
Right.
We're not worried about a fire getting away in the middle of winter. So that's the time when you need to have a fire and keep it going and stay with it.
And
Don't
also
leave it.
on that, in the middle of winter, if it's if there was a helicopter aloft and something like that with a cold background and a hot spot, it makes you pretty, you're almost easy to find, not only with the smoke, but you have a heat signature that's unmistakable, right?
That's going to tell them exactly where you are.
Okay.
So, which is why you stay with your fire.
Right.
Why would you leave? It's nice and warm.
Yeah.
And it's drying you out.
Yeah. How about some war stories? I mean, as far as, you have any, what's some of the most fascinating incidents you've been on? Is there anything that sticks out?
I have one that's kind of funny. I was talking about the individual that went downhill.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a group of co-workers, and they had been doing this monthly weekend getaway. And somebody picked going to Big Meadow to camp. And
yeah.
this individual, it was his turn to wear a costume. So he had to wear the costume the entire time. His costume was the Cowardly Lion. He had a head-to-toe costume with a mane and a tail.
And the lion got lost.
And the lion got lost. So we called it the Lion Search. We couldn't picture this thing. We just kept hearing it from everybody. He's wearing a lion costume.
Right.
Okay, well, let's see. We have looking for description. Well, he's wearing a lion's costume. A what? Mean like Detroit Lions or no? He's wearing a lion's costume. This is the individual that came out at Board's Crossing, Sourgrass. Well, the sheriff's office got a phone call from somebody that said, "We think your person is here." So the deputies went from Big Meadow down there. So we had to have everybody hold in place. We got to confirm it's them. They got down there. They confirmed it. We bring everybody in. The deputies, when they brought this individual back to where everybody was back at Big Meadow, which is probably an hour to an hour and a half round trip.
Oh yeah.
They actually stopped the car and made him put the full costume on. Said, "Our people have been out looking for you. They've at least got to see you in this costume." So here comes this.
He made his entrance.
He made his entrance. Here he comes the Cowardly Lion with his tail hanging over his arm, and he came out in his mane and everything else. It was a good outcome.
Sure.
And there was some humor involved in it.
Unexpected things on tech. This is one we heard that was fascinating that people don't realize is now that there's more on the mountain biking, there's more of these electric assisted mountain bikes. And we've heard that sometimes this can have unintended consequences is people will get farther into the bush or farther out than they thought. I mean, if normal under pedal power, if they're going 4 or 5 miles out, they may be 15 miles out on some of these things. And are you seeing any of that type of stuff? Any unintended things to where?
It's not so much that they're out further. Both of the ones that I'm familiar with for us, both individuals, they were separate, had the battery assisted bikes.
Sure, yeah.
They both got lost because they took side trails off the rim trail, got lost, proceeded to do what? Go downhill. They got further and further away from the trails, and they got to a point where neither one of them wanted to give up their bike.
Oh.
So they're stuck way down deep in.
With a $3,500 piece of equipment.
That they're not going to leave, that they could have followed their trail back up, but they couldn't take it back up. So, again, they got deeper in.
Right.
Maybe they were adventurous in saying, "I'm going to come out somewhere else," but it kind of led them because of this false sense of, I've got this extra power behind me that I can get out.
Right, right.
Neither time did it work.
Rim trail. I know the rim trail has just been packed with people this summer. Is there any, and I know that's a draw for a lot of out of area people and stuff. Is most of it fairly well marked now? Is most of it pretty, or is there some spots that you see repeated issues on? Where is there?
There's. I think that the markings, the trail markings, confuse people at times.
Okay.
They tend to branch off and think there's some other markings and they're not necessarily other markings. We have seen people again go downhill, and they actually come out on. It's off of Avery Sheep Ranch Road.
Mm-hmm.
They come out. It's called Armstrong Road.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been. They're thinking they're on the rim trail and they're not following, and they're crossing creeks, and next thing they know,
They come out in Sheep Ranch.
they're way out there.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. So have the map,
Have a map.
but have GPS and stay with your GPS.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, GPS will fail. We require all of our people to have a compass and know how to use it.
Old-fashioned compass.
Right. Know how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And we also encourage people, if you're going to have GPS, have batteries, extra
Right.
batteries.
Right.
So we have all those things, but we still have to have people, you know, the old fallback is use your own compass. So
Right.
know your headings as you go along.
Because isn't that another fallacy too, that people think they can walk a straight line when they're running in circles type of stuff, if that are a little bit disoriented. I mean, the compass has a value, at least you know you're going a certain direction. Is that?
Yes, it would tell you if you're off course, but you have to know how to navigate with it, where you're picking marks as you go along, so you're navigating
To
on
a
this
mark.
heading to that mark, if that's the direction you want to go.
Right.
The GPS can tell you that, but like I said, if you're not prepared and you don't have batteries and your GPS loses power, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah. A little bit on some of the on ATVs and four-wheel drive vehicles on some of the Forest Service roads. Have you had many incidents of vehicle breakdowns, lost and stuff or is there most of those pretty I mean,
We don't have a lot of those. They
Okay.
tend to take care of themselves.
they do, yeah.
The thing that we have is it might be an injury. Say there's a couple of guys out on dirt bikes, and one of their buddies goes down and, you know, bangs up his knee or his ankle or his shoulder or something like that. Lots of times it's because they're injured and not because of a mechanical breakdown, but they can't necessarily ride back.
Got it. So they got to get somebody to them to get a bird to take them out from
Something
there.
along those lines.
And Ebbets Pass now don't they have the ATV medical unit that they take out on some of the?
Ebbets Pass has a Polaris Ranger,
Okay.
and we have the same vehicle.
Okay.
We got ours through a grant. And that actually helped us on our last search, this individual that knew about his cell phone and stuff. Because we put two people in that, and they were able to drive within a couple hundred yards of where this individual was lost. He was dehydrated, so they gave him some basic first aid, got him hydrated, got him back to our ATV, and drove him out to our command post, which was probably 3 or 4 miles, where we actually had Ebbets Pass medics drive out to meet us. They checked him out, and so it was a valuable
Yeah.
piece of equipment we had.
Yeah. Thank you. Now I think we've now the right lights on there for me.
Okay.
Apologize, this was bad hosting. I wasn't watching my lights the way I suppose I should. But okay, once a month meetings. You'd love to have more crew. And how can they reach you again?
I believe they're going to post our
Yep.
website and
Yep.
our email. Email would be best if you
The
email
best.
with some contact information. If they're interested, then I will have our personnel officer reach out to them, and we can help get them started. And we welcome volunteers. You don't even have to want to go out in the field. If you want to help with
Logistics and that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Huh? Yeah.
If you like tinkering with vehicles and equipment, we can take that. Or if you want to want to start learning about mapping, we need people that can do those kinds of things at the command post while everybody else is out in the field. So there's things people could do.
Thank you. I mean that sincerely, because these guys do save lives, and I know from watching these from the news side. Thank you. Thank
John,
you very much.
Thanks for having me.